wait, if you're gonna get caught cheating, it shouldn't be like this.
Well, maybe he should have thought of that before he was cheating.
You a scumbag, let's just start there, full stop. But if you want to be a retarded scumbag, then you can go cheat on your wife at a concert where you're liable to be put on a massive camera in front of everyone, tens of thousands of people here in Boston, watching this.
Yeah. Oh, look at these two. All right, come on, you're okay? Oh, what?
It's July 16th, 2025, and 65,000 fans are packed into Gillette Stadium in Massachusetts, their wristbands lighting up like a constellation of stars as Coldplay takes the stage. The energy is electric, the atmosphere is perfect, and everyone's having the time of their lives. This should have been just another magical concert memory, another night where music brought people together in pure joy. But sometimes the universe has other plans. Sometimes a single moment captured on camera can expose secrets that destroy families, end careers, and create viral sensations that the internet will never forget. What happened next didn't just break hearts. It shattered lives, launched corporate investigations, and gave birth to one of the most powerful statements about betrayal and self-worth that social media has ever seen. And if you think that's dramatic, wait until I tell you about Khloé Kardashian's simultaneous nightmare involving surrogates, NBA players, and betrayal so brutal, they redefined what it means to forgive and forget. These aren't just stories about cheating. They're masterclasses in how public humiliation can either destroy you or transform you into something stronger than you ever imagined. The Kiss Cam started innocently enough, panning across the crowd during one of those perfect Coldplay moments when the entire stadium feels connected by music and shared experience. Couples were kissing, families were laughing, and everyone was playing along with the wholesome stadium tradition that usually results in nothing more than awkward pecks and crowd cheers. But when that camera landed on the VIP section and focused on a well-dressed man sitting suspiciously close to an equally classy woman, something felt different. Their body language screamed guilty conscience, the way they froze when they realized they were being filmed, the awkward retreat, the look of absolute panic that spread across both their faces. Chris Martin, ever the professional, tried to lighten the mood with a joke, but the crowd's reaction was mixed, and more importantly, phones were already out, recording what would soon become the most expensive 30 seconds of footage in recent memory. This wasn't just an awkward kiss cam moment. This was the beginning of a scandal that would destroy marriages, end careers, and create one of the most viral betrayal stories the internet has ever witnessed. By the time the sun rose the next morning, TikTok had already done what TikTok does best, turned a private moment into public entertainment. The video was spreading faster than wildfire, and the internet detectives were already hard at work, analyzing every frame, enhancing every pixel, and doing the kind of investigative work that would make the FBI proud. Within hours, they had names, faces, and enough background information to write a biography. Meet Andy Byron, CEO of Astronomer, a data management company worth millions, married, father of two, and now the star of the most awkward kiss cam footage in concert history. And his companion, Kristen Cat, the HR director of his own company, also married, also about to have her life completely imploded by 30 seconds of stadium camera work. But the internet wasn't done with its detective work. A second video emerged from a different angle, and this one left absolutely nothing to speculation. We're talking about clear, undeniable evidence of a relationship that went way beyond professional courtesy. Hand-holding, kissing, intimate whispering, all captured in high definition for the world to analyze frame by frame. The silence from both parties was deafening. Their LinkedIn profiles mysteriously vanished into thin air, and suddenly everyone was asking the same question. How do you explain away footage that shows you having an affair at a Coldplay concert while your spouse thinks you're at a business meeting? While the internet was having a field day with memes and commentary, the real destruction was happening behind closed doors. Megan Byron, Andy's wife of 15 years, wasn't making dramatic public statements or posting crying selfies. Instead, she was making subtle but devastatingly clear moves that spoke louder than any angry rant ever could. The removal of Byron from her Facebook name wasn't just a name change. It was a declaration of independence. The complete deactivation of her social media accounts wasn't retreat. It was strategic silence while she figured out how to rebuild her life after discovering her marriage was over via viral TikTok. The digital disappearance was a clear indicator that behind the scenes, an entire family's world was collapsing in real time. Astronomer didn't waste time trying to spin this disaster. On July 18th, just 2 days after the concert, they released an official statement that sent both employees on administrative leave and appointed interim CEO Pete DeJoy to handle the fallout. This wasn't just a personal scandal anymore. This was corporate crisis management at its most desperate, with a company trying to distance itself from leadership that had become the punchline of every workplace ethics joke on the internet. But the corporate response was just just the beginning. Anonymous employees started flooding Reddit with testimonies about toxic workplace culture, questionable internal practices, and allegations of unfair promotions that suddenly made a lot more sense in light of the HR director's extracurricular activities. Even company co-founder Rye Walker felt compelled to speak out, stating bluntly that this is not the culture we're built for. Within 72 hours, what started as an awkward kiss cam moment had escalated into a full-blown national crisis involving corporate ethics, workplace harassment, and the kind of scandal that business schools will probably use as a case study for decades. Then, after 2 days of strategic silence, Megan Byron emerged with a statement that hit the internet like a nuclear bomb. This wasn't a carefully crafted PR response or a lawyer-approved press release. This was raw, emotional, and devastatingly honest. She talked about betrayal, about trust being destroyed, about making the decision to leave her husband and protect her children and her values. She refused to accept betrayal as normal, refused to pretend that 15 years of marriage could be casually discarded for a concert link. The media explosion that followed was immediate and overwhelming, with everyone from relationship experts to social media influencers weighing in on what many were calling the most dignified response to public humiliation in internet history. But Megan wasn't done. Her follow-up statement was only 18 words long, but it packed more punch than most people manage in 18 paragraphs. I watched my husband kiss another woman on the jumbo screen. And the worst part, I had a better seat at home. The internet absolutely lost its collective mind. This wasn't just a comeback. This was poetry. This was power. This was a woman taking the worst moment of her personal life and transforming it into a symbol of quiet strength and devastating wit. Social media platforms exploded with shares, likes, and comments, praising her for reclaiming her voice and her power in the face of ultimate humiliation. The final act of Megan's public reclamation was her announcement that she was officially changing her name back to Megan Carrion, removing the Byron surname that had defined her for 15 years. This wasn't about revenge or spite. This was about symbolic closure, about refusing to carry the name of someone who had publicly humiliated her in front of 65,000 people and millions more online. Her final statement was simple but profound. I am not defeated. I have found myself. What makes Megan's story so powerful isn't just the betrayal or even the viral nature of how she discovered it. It's about fundamental rights that go beyond marriage and relationships. The right to not be silent when you've been wrong, the right to reclaim your identity when someone tries to define you by their actions, the right to step out of someone else's shadow and stand in your own light. Her initial silence wasn't weakness, it was survival, giving herself time to process the difference between private betrayal and public humiliation, between personal healing and public empowerment. The resolution came swiftly and decisively. Andy Byron officially resigned from his position, the company board committed to a complete cultural review, and Kristen Cat maintained her silence while presumably updating her resume and considering career changes. But the real legacy wasn't about corporate consequences or professional fallout. It was about a woman who stood tall after being knocked down in the most public way possible, but who transformed humiliation into empowerment and became a symbol of grace under pressure. Now, if you think Megan Byron's story is about as brutal as public betrayal gets, let me introduce you to Khloé Kardashian and a series of betrayals so relentless, so devastating that they completely redefined what it means to forgive, forget, and finally say enough is enough. We're talking about a woman who watched her faith and loyalty get systematically destroyed by someone she loved, someone she trusted, someone who proved that some people view forgiveness not as a gift, but as permission to hurt you again. Khloé Kardashian, reality TV royalty and the heart of the Kardashian empire, met NBA star Tristan Thompson in 2016, and it seemed like a fairy tale beginning. He was charming, successful, and seemingly head over heels for the woman who had already conquered reality television and built her own business empire. The family embraced him. Khloé glowed with happiness, and when they announced they were expecting their first child together, the internet celebrated what looked like a perfect love story. They named their daughter True, which now seems like the universe's cruelest joke about truth, loyalty, and the lies we tell ourselves about the people we love. But in 2018, just as Khloé was in her final months of pregnancy, TMZ dropped a video that shattered the fairy tale into a million pieces. Tristan Thompson, the man who was supposed to be preparing for fatherhood, was caught on camera with not one but two women living it up while his pregnant girlfriend was at home preparing for their child's arrival. The social media outrage was immediate and brutal, but Khloé chose forgiveness, chose to believe that people could change, chose to focus on their daughter and the family they were building together. The damage was done, but love, she believed, could heal anything. Less than a year later, the universe delivered another devastating blow. Jordyn Woods, Kylie Jenner's best friend and practically a family member, was caught kissing Tristan at a party. This wasn't just another betrayal. This was destruction of the family circle. This was someone they trusted using that trust to cause maximum damage. Jordyn's career was obliterated. Multiple relationships were destroyed, and once again, Khloé found herself choosing forgiveness over fury, love over logic. The public was practically begging her to walk away, but she still believed in redemption, still believed that love could conquer anything, including serial infidelity. Against all logic, and despite public ridicule, Khloé and Tristan reconciled, and she made the decision to have a second child via surrogacy due to her own health limitations. This was her secret hope for a complete family, her faith that maybe, just maybe, he had finally learned from his mistakes and was ready to be the partner and father she needed him to be. The surrogacy process began, and for a brief moment, it seemed like they might actually get their happy ending. But in late 2021, while Khloé was literally in the process of having his child via surrogate, news broke that would end their relationship permanently. Marilee Nichols, a fitness trainer, filed a lawsuit claiming Tristan had gotten her pregnant. The evidence was overwhelming. Texts, travel records, DNA tests, and eventually Tristan was forced to confess. The timing was almost impossibly cruel. While Khloé was bringing his child into the world through surrogacy, he was creating another child with someone else entirely. His Instagram apology was hollow, meaningless, and far too late to matter. This time, there was no forgiveness. This time, Khloé said enough was enough. The relationship ended permanently. She embraced single motherhood with dignity and limited Tristan's role to father only. No partner, no second chances, no more opportunities to destroy her faith and love. The public rallied behind her with the Team Khloé movement, finally seeing a woman who had learned the difference between forgiveness and self-destruction, between love and enabling, between hope and delusion. Both Megan Byron's Kiss Cam scandal and Khloé Kardashian's serial betrayal saga teach us the same devastating truth about infidelity. It's never just about the cheating. It's about the destruction of trust, the questioning of every memory, the realization that while you were building a life together, they were actively tearing it down. These stories remind us that marriage isn't a trial ground for loyalty. It's a commitment that requires honesty, responsibility, and respect. They show us that forgiveness without consequences isn't healing, it's enabling. And that sometimes the most loving thing you can do for yourself is to stop accepting unacceptable behavior from people who clearly don't value what you bring to their lives. The internet may love a good scandal, but what it loves even more is watching strong women transform public humiliation into personal empowerment, watching them reclaim their voices, their names, and their worth after being betrayed by the people who were supposed to protect them most.